Hello everyone, welcome to my studio. I'm Diane and today we're going to paint a tropical Caribbean type scene with a little bit of sky, a little bit of sea and a couple of palm trees. And to do this painting we're just going to use three colours which I have here, which are, you could say, the equivalent of the blue, the red and the yellow, because every painting, if it's going to be well balanced, needs to have a triad of colours. One on the blue side, one on the red side and one on the yellow side. Those are the three primary colours. And here we've got colours which are more or less blue, more or less red and more or less yellow. So that's the way we're going to mix all of our different shades. This is quinacridone gold by Schmincke, which is wonderful, very nice, strong coloured paint. No problems with that at all whatsoever in the slightest. And in similar vein we have Schmincke Horadam quinacridone purple, and then for my blue, my Caribbean blue by Old Holland, and I'll put links to those in the description below if you're interested in following up on that. Now the first thing we have to do is we need to do our drawing, and this is basically a simple landscape. And for those of you who are interested in starting with landscape painting, I suggest that you try to pick a subject that's really easy, much more simple than perhaps the thing that you would like to draw. But you've got to start at the beginning, really. And one of the things that you can do is simplify things right down. So what I have in mind here is a landscape with just sky, a little bit of sea and a bit of land and a tree. So the rules of composition are such that if you want to help yourself to have a pleasing composition in the early stages of learning, then you should think about your sheet of paper and divide it into thirds and put the horizon line either 1/3 of the way up from the bottom or 1/3 of the way down from the top. Avoid putting the horizon in the middle there. The horizon is where the land meets the sky. So for most purposes, you'll get a better result if you put the horizon somewhere around about here, which is about 1/3 of the way up. And try to get a reasonably straight line as your starting point. So I'm going to call that horizon, and I'm going to imagine that I'm standing here on the beach and I'm looking towards the other side of a little cove. So we have a little bit of land coming up in the distance there. And then we have a little bay or cove coming round like that. And the land is here. So it's just a little sliver of water. And then here we have a palm tree coming up and out into the top part of the painting. And then perhaps we might have a second tree coming over a bit more steeply like that, and coming down with its fronds like that. So this is a very sketchy, scrappy kind of sketch, just to show you roughly what I'm thinking of. And then under the trees, of course, then you've got a shadow area. So this, and here in this part of the land in the distance, we might consider that we've got a little bit of greenery over there. But this is the beach. This is the foreground here. This is the shadow, and these are the trees. I might make this one a little bit longer and take its branches up to the top there. Now, in order to do this painting, there are various different ways you could do it. You could paint the trees and the land first and then put the sky in afterwards. Or you could do it wet in wet, starting by wetting the paper and coming in with the sky and then letting it dry. Now I'm working on a piece of paper which has been stretched. In other words, it's nice and tight and it's fixed all the way around with brown paper tape, which stops it from cockling when I put water on it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm just going to start off by dropping Caribbean blue into the sky. And I'm not worried if it is uneven. I'm not trying to do a graduated wash or anything like that. I might just lift the board a little bit so that it's on a slight angle just to help the paint move down the paper. And I'm just going to, whoops, I picked up rather a large amount of blue there. So that's interesting. You never know what's going to happen. I don't know quite how I managed that. So what we'll do is, in order to turn that from being a disaster into being an advantage, I'm going to turn the board like that and let it flow up to the top, and then just encourage it to disappear. We'll just hold it like that for a minute while it just flows upwards. There we are. So that's going to be behind the tree, so that's not going to matter if it's a little bit uneven. In any case, nobody really cares about evenness these days. So now I'm going to put a little bit of Caribbean blue in for the water. And then I'm going to take a little bit of quinacridone gold and just going to drop some in the far distance there to do the green of the other side of the bay. And that's going to spread and go paler and so on and so forth, but that doesn't matter. We can adjust that later. And so now I'm going to let it dry. Okay, so now the underpainting is dry. So I'm going to draw in now the trunk of the tree, one of the trees, and I'm going to imagine that it goes from all the way up like that, and I'm just going to go straight over the blue of the sky and the background with this quinacridone mauve, and then I'm going to go into that with the quinacridone gold. And I'm just going to drop that in on top to get a beautiful mixture of colours. And then, remembering I've already got the blue on here, so I'm going to go to my quinacridone gold again, and I'm going to draw in some palm fronds. Using this gold colour, which of course where it meets the blue is going to make some lovely greens. Just be very relaxed about that. You don't need much more than that. This is really an exercise in blending colours and just seeing how things work. And then, so now we're going to put in the second palm tree, and I started with the purple. So I'll do the same again, and this one is going to be lying down a bit lower. So, and it's a smaller one, so you just paint that in like that. And then washing off your brush in between, of course. Quinacridone gold on top of the purple and over the blue, and then down into where the paper is white behind like that. So we might want to add a little bit more blue just there, and we'll let that blend. And then the same again. Quinacridone gold, we're going to draw in more palm fronds like that. Okay, and so I'm going to let that settle for a little bit. I'm going to mix up a little bit of green and just drop a little bit more colour in the background there. Imagine that there's all, what do they call them? Bay grapes, which have a kind of mauve to them. And up here is time now to go in with a bit more of the green colour. Give us some more blends, and I might take some purple and just a little bit of shadow in a few places, trying not to spoil the lovely colours that we've already created. A little bit more down here. And then I'm going to do some shadow, a shadowy area underneath the tree here, just coming out like that. And this colour is Caribbean blue plus a little bit of the dioxazine mauve, quinacridone purple. So there we are, and we'll let that dry. Now I'm just going to define the distant line of the other side of the bay a little bit. I'm just brushing in some blue to make the sea and the land a little bit darker there. And then maybe we'll just soften that line there, and then just drop in a few lines of interest. And maybe strengthen the colour of the sand. I'm thinking Bermuda here, and of course there the sand is pink, but that's not the case in most Caribbean islands, so we'll just make that a little bit yellowish. Again, that will be drying lighter. And then for the tree, the big one, I'm going to mix a bit of Caribbean blue with some quinacridone gold, which makes a really nice tropical green, it has to be said. Look at that. And I'm just going to come in and put in some more fronds. And then in the centre there, I don't know if we could say that there were coconuts. I'm not necessarily sure how to draw coconuts, but something like that. And a few more frondy bits over here. Try to put make the fronds darker on one side of the palm leaf rather than both sides. That gives it more dimensionality. So there we are, and I'm going to put a little bit of mauve just down the underside of the tree, like that, on the side away from the sun. And this one I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to use blue. There we are. And maybe such a nice colour, I want to put some of it in there. Maybe we'll bring it down here a little bit too. Imagine that there's some bay grapes growing here too. Put the shadows in under the leaves. So there we are. One landscape, Caribbean style. I think I might just pop a little bit more shadow in the foreground there, just to bring that in to the whole painting. This mark here is where I accidentally picked up some paint on my brush and I scraped it into the paper, so that's a little bit of a shame there because that kind of spoils it, but never mind, doesn't really matter. This is only a demonstration and I hope you enjoyed it. So using 3 colours, quinacridone gold, Caribbean blue, and which one I always forget the name of, quinacridone purple, we can create a very colourful scene. And if you were to take more time over that than I did, because I had to do this really quickly this afternoon, and I'll tell you why, because we had a swarm of bees attack one of the family today, and it took quite a while to deal with the calamity that ensued upon that. So hopefully you don't mind this being a super quick effort. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. We really, really need your support. So if you can remember to do that, give me a like, make a comment, and I appreciate that very much indeed. So thank you very much, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Bye.